Serious married couples. What advice would you give to young couples? Kindness. Don't be short, rude, and proud. You have to live with this person the rest of your life. Always be kind. Forgive. You aren't immune to making any of the same mistakes. You're not as perfect as you think you are. Don't dwell on the negative in one another. This is a bad mental path to get on. You are both imperfect. Compliment one another on your strengths. And help one another with weaknesses. Be committed. Life will change. You both will change. There is security in commitment. There is trust when you feel secure. Just a few things. 12 years. 3 kids. Still learning. Always remember to work on yourself, as your insecurities can easily form into blame towards your partner. They are not doing enough, they are not making me feel special enough when you're insecure, and not doing anything to fix it. It won't matter what your partner does. So always work on yourself. Invite your partner to join you in your goals, and the positivity from your efforts will strengthen your relationship with your partner and how you see yourself. Wise words. Especially if you're comparing him or her to one of your toxic ex-boyfriend's girlfriends. Even the smallest things will seem like they have a not so nice deeper meaning. Most insecurities from my side were from not letting go of people from the past. Constantly going back and saying, hey, if they didn't like Zion me or about me, so won't he? Very true. Toxic exes can destroy your self-worth to the point where you believe you can't escape or don't deserve better. And at the same time, it's very easy for yourself to become a toxic partner without even meaning to or realizing it. When we are in a relationship, our partners naturally bring us a sense of happiness through our natural emotions. So much so that breakups actually cause physical withdrawal pains. This emotional response can easily overtake us, and when depression, stress, or just our basic insecurities start to get us down as a knee-jerk reaction, we will turn to our partners to cheer us up. But there's only so much another person can do to help you with depression, stress, and personal problems like feeling self-conscious. And if you're not emotionally in touch with yourself, or have the mental fortitude to seek professional help, or change your bad habits, you'll start to blame those negative emotions on your partner. Regardless how much they try to help, eventually they too will get frustrated, and in your dark state, will feel as though they are abandoning you. This then snowballs into toxicity. So it's very important to be open on how you feel, what you're dealing with, and also understand sometimes our partners can't fix everything with a few words of admiration or more hugs, and you too need to put in the work on yourself as well. Sit down once a month and look over your finances. Always have a master plan on what both of you want. Then work together towards that. Communication is everything. Laugh at yourself more than you laugh at them. Fight fair. Both of your families are batshit crazy, don't hold that against each other. Little love gestures go a long ways. Hold hands in public. Save money and create wealth. Head scratches and back rubs have done more for my love life than nice dinners, new cars, and flowers. Know each other's love language. The rule of 5 every 5 weeks. Go out on a nice date every 5 months. Take a weekend vacation, and every 5 years, take a 2-week vacation. Compliment them when they look amazing. Don't stress over the little shit. You'll get annoyed at things you didn't think possible. Like how they organize themselves, how they load the dishwasher, difference in opinions for trivial things. Let that shit go. Think about what truly matters to you before you start an argument over your misplaced toothbrush, the color of paint to use in the living room, or what's going on in the garage at 10 PM with all the swearing. This will differ a bit, but this is coming from a man that's been married for 14 years with 2 kids. Assemble a piece of flat pack furniture together that neither of you have assembled before, or do a small home improvement task neither of you have done before. Before making a big commitment, you need to see each other frustrated and confused, while you are also frustrated and confused. Learning how to work together in spite of those things is a huge deal for long-term success. Here are 2 of the best advices that one of our Ninning's primary sponsors said when we announced our plan to marry. 1. Marry when you are both ready, and 2. You should be able to accept every fault and weakness in your partner's being. If you do, then you're ready to get married. to is very good advice in my opinion, since I've seen a lot of failed marriages wherein both parties are either completely incompatible or have issues with each other's personalities, habits, and lifestyle choice, and they expect marriage will either fix that or the things that each hate will somehow improve. Expect that nothing that drastic will change with your partner after marriage. She is a slob and doesn't wash properly. She'll still be a slob the next hour after you said your vows. He keeps getting on your nerves by being a smartass and a sarcastic sob. Guess what? He'll still be that way the next morning after the reception. When getting in arguments, try your best not to cross the line. However, there will be arguments. There will be rough patches. There will be times where you won't want to be in the same room. Choose those arguments wisely and ask yourself before you engage, is it worth it? Sometimes it is, and that's okay. Keep your problems in-house. Everyone is an expert when it comes to relationships. So if you tell people about your problems, they will have advice, and at some point, if you keep going to those people and just constantly venting about problems, many people will say you need to leave that person. It's none of their business and you're the only person who can make that decision. That being said, marriage truly is a wonderful thing. Having a partner in crime to share your life with, having children, creating a home, doing it both your way is awesome. Sometimes you won't even feel like you're married. You just feel like kids playing house, but you actually have a house with children. Even when money gets to be tight, you're tired and sleep deprived. Knowing you have someone to go through it with you, no matter what, is an amazing feeling. We have been married for 13 years. Together for 15. Spend quality time together. Shut off your phones and go for a walk. Cook a meal together. Find a hobby you both enjoy. Heck, you can have a lot of fun just doing household chores together. If you don't spend time together, you are going to drift apart. I was severely burned in a brush fire 5 years ago and was diagnosed with brain cancer a year later. My burn broke me. I fell into a terrible pit of depression. I spent most of the next year lying on the couch pissed off at the world. All of my relationships deteriorated in that time, just because I separate myself from everything. But our marriage suffered the most. Unfortunately, my diagnosis made things even worse. My prognosis was quite grim. People in my position live for an average of 37 weeks. I have seen other people go through similar things. One of two things usually happens. It will draw them closer together, or one or both people will use destructive coping mechanisms to help cope with the fear and pain. Once we realized what was happening, we started coming closer together again. When we were newly married, we spent a lot of time fishing. Just the two of us on a riverbank sitting on buckets trying to catch fish. The beauty of time like that is there is nothing to distract you from each other. It gives you a lot of time to just talk and get to know each other better. I've had 2 cancer occurrences that looked like it was the beginning of my end. I just started a new treatment that is working very well. We've been able to get back fishing a lot this summer. Sometimes just the two of us, and sometimes we take the kids along too. Assemble a piece of flat pack furniture together that neither of you have assembled before, or do a small home improvement task neither of you have done before. Before making a big commitment, you need to see each other frustrated and confused while you are also frustrated and confused. Learning how to work together in spite of those things is a huge deal for long-term success. Find out your best way to communicate. Mine is to just be quiet for an hour or so. I go through the problem in my head and look at it from all angles. Half the time I actually realize I'm being unreasonable or irrational, and the other half I figure out how to best phrase what I want to say. This also gives me time to figure out if I'm really bothered by this enough to fight about it. My husband knows my process now and just leaves me to figure myself out and talk when I'm ready. For other people, it's best to write letters to their partner that they can read and amend accordingly before leaving it out for them to read. Some need to discuss it then and there, some later on. Personally, I think either way it's best to think for 10 minutes first. It stops you lashing out in the heat of the moment, and if you aren't angry after 10 minutes then it's probably not worth fighting over anyway. Tell your partner your best way to communicate so they know what's going on. Sometimes it's better to have 2 separate things than to compromise on one thing. This can be anything from stocking 2 different types of toilet paper, having separate electronics, or even sleeping in separate bedrooms. Some people just love telling happy couples how they are going to be unhappy one day. They'll tell you wait until you've been together X years. You move in together. You get married. You have kids. Your kids leave the nest, etc. Don't let these people influence you. Your relationship doesn't have to conform to anyone's standards but your own. You don't have to get married, have kids, wear wedding rings, be monogamous as long as you both enthusiastically agree to whatever arrangement you have. Change your last name, live together, sleep in the same bed, both have a career, etc. As long as you're both happy, it can look however you want it to. When your partner says something and you are instantly on the defensive, ask yourself, what story am I making up? Like, if they say, we have no food in this house, that is a basic statement. If you find yourself becoming defensive, ask yourself why. What am I making up that they are saying? X. So there is no food in this house again. You to yourself, do you hear God? Why can't you be better at grocery shopping? Why can't you stock up better? The so did not say this. So stop getting defensive and start looking at yourself. It will help stop a lot of fights. If you want to survive more than a decade in a marriage, be prepared to listen to your spouse, not just to let them speak, but listen, engage. You want to be heard, so hear the other. If when negative emotions get too intense, don't jump to blame the spouse. It's hard. Try to find ways to interrupt the feeding of negativity from each other's cycle. Take a 5-minute break, claim you need a bio break if nothing else. The physical and temporal distancing will help folk calm down. Also, as soon as you calm down, hug the other person and provide some sort of positive physical contact. Goes without saying. Keep reinforcing positives and make positive statements frequently. Everybody wants to be loved and you have to be there for each other. Oh, one last thing, don't ever take someone else's side against your spouse in public. If they are in the wrong, can happen often. You must find ways to correct that behavior discreetly. If that really doesn't work, because people are obstinate, try to create a distraction, find an excuse, then talk to your spouse in private. Communication, understanding and empathy. Communication is a foundational cornerstone of a relationship. If that isn't there, and either of you don't feel you can speak to each other freely, at some point the relationship will break down. Understanding. You won't always see eye to eye, or have the same interest level in something. And that is okay. My wife loves to go hiking. I ducking hate it. I don't hate the outdoors. I just hate driving an hour to get somewhere to walk uncomfortably to a spot that she likes, so she can take 1,000 pictures while I'm bored out of my mind. I do it because she likes it, and she likes that I come along. She is willing to go to things and do things with me that she has zero interest in. It's okay to not like the same things, but that doesn't mean you can't show some interest. I hate hiking, but there have been a couple hikes and walks that ended up being amazing and awesome that I wouldn't have otherwise known about. Empathy. You need to be able to at least try and see things from their point of view. One day after we had moved in together, my wife had been out all day and wasn't due back until long after I had been done with work. I figured it was perfect because I could watch an episode of one of my shows while I waited. Then when she got home, we could go get some food. She walks in the door with about 10 minutes left in my show. We say hi, and I hear her toss her keys down and then walk into the kitchen. After a few minutes I hear her moving around upstairs. I figured she had gone to the bathroom and was upstairs getting ready to go out to dinner. After a half hour I went upstairs and all the lights were out. Maybe she was just exhausted and wanted to sleep. No big deal. Here is what she saw after being out in the sun all day and driving for an hour and a half to get home. She comes in and I barely acknowledge her, and even when she went upstairs I didn't come look for her for a half hour. She was pissed off. We both saw the same thing, and we saw it differently. That shit will happen a lot. Understanding that you both have different viewpoints will go a long way to avoiding blow-ups and misunderstandings and arguments. 10 years from now, you and your spouse probably won't be the exact same person that you are today. This can lead to conflict down the road. Try to find compromise and understand each other's point of view. Don't hold grudges. Arguments will happen, but try not to end the day mad at each other. Try to go on dates and do stuff together as much as you can. Tell them you love them every day. Edit one more, leave your friends and parents out of your relationship problems. If you need counseling therapy, go to a professional. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.